Welcome back. All right, so I debated about whether or not I was going to review this game on its own, and I decided if something really interesting happens, then I'll do that. Here we are because something really interesting happened in this game. So Nashville came into this one on an 11-game point streak. That continues. Minnesota came into this with narrow hopes of making the playoffs and trying to keep that window of hope alive. It's still open. So it's Saros versus Fleury. There's an early McDonough shot that's held. Pressed by Nashville, that's kept to the outside. The Wild have a 2-on-1 that's defended. I thought for a game with 63 shots in it, both defenses did pretty well. Hartman has a blast that deflects wide. Novak's denied on a rush. Bogosian has a screenshot that's held. We then had a fight between McCarron and Foligno because these teams do not like one another. And then at 3:16, because Jonas Brodin said so, he scores from Eriksson Ek and Kaprizov. He buries it in the midst of a dog pile at the net. I think Nashville thought about challenging, but that dog pile was Nashville players and Minnesota players, and it was just crazy. Hartman's then robbed. There's some pushing on a hold by Saros as Minnesota's looking for that 2-0 lead. There's a press by Nashville at 4 minutes, but 4.5 minutes in, the shots are 6-2 for Minnesota. Novak's denied and close. We get a power play for Nashville. Nyquist has a shot that deflects high. They cycle. Minnesota clears it out. It's killed off. And then on a nice pass, Jankowski buries one from the slot. Sherwood with the assist at 9 minutes. So that ties the game at 1. The Sphere had been mentioned to that point 3 times. Every single time you watch a Nashville game, they talk about the Sphere story. If you're saying what Sphere story, you don't watch Nashville games or hockey games. It's being mentioned everywhere. But at least when they talked about Saros' height, it was mentioned in a graphic and mentioned, I think, once. So that's a drop from where it used to be. It's just all the time. Did you know Saros is shorter than other goalies? Yes, because it's mentioned every single time he plays. Anyways, we have had a fight between Sherwood and Shaw because, again, these teams don't like each other. Shots are 8-7 for Nashville with 9.5 minutes left. The Wild press are kept to the outside. Nashville blocks, clears it out. Then there's a press by Nashville. They're kept to the outside. So again, I thought the defenses did pretty good in this game. Pretty well. Sorry about that. Kaprizov's denied on a break. There's a near miss for Nyquist. The Wild clear it out. Both teams unable to get extended presses during that part of the first period. McCarron has a shot that's held. There's some pushing. It's 1-1 after 1. Second period, good early back and forth. Game of transition plays, not really a game of... So a lot of one and done, a lot of rushes one way or the other. And then Evangelista buries a loose puck in close. Novak and Jankowski with the assists at 3:36. So Nashville with their first lead of the game. McCarron has a wraparound that saved. Sherwood's then denied. Nashville has some momentum with the lead. This is where Marc-Andre Fleury earned his money today. Foligno fires one high on a rush. Yossi fires one wide. The Wild clears. 7.5 minutes in. The shots are 5-0 Nashville. Pressed by the Wild at 9 minutes. Kaprizov to Boldy. There's a near miss there. Nyquist has a net drive that's saved. Beckman has a turnover chance that's held. With 8 minutes left, the Wild to that point had been held to 1 shot on net. It would not stay that way. They would get their chances. It really was a great game of momentum swings in this one. Merrill has a shot that's saved as the Wild get some pressure. McCarron fires one high on a 2-on-1 rush. With 2:34 left, there's a power play for Minnesota. There's an early clear and then another, and then Kaprizov. This is another dogpile goal, and again, it's a Minnesota dogpile goal. It's Kaprizov on the power play from Boldy and Eriksson Ek at 18:42. So when I say that, I just mean like there's a bunch of guys down on the ice fighting for the puck, and it comes out and you bury it. And that's what Kaprizov does to tie it at 2. Things are kind of chatty at the horn. No pushing and shoving that I saw, but guys chatting with each other probably about, hey, do you want to go to the Sphere after the game? Third period, there's an early press by the Wild. Like, are they going to be the Nashville Spheres next year? They're going to do a tie-in? Anyways, so early press by the Wild. They're kept to the outside. We get a power play for Minnesota. Nashville blocks and clears again. That was the story of their game today. Glove save on Zuccarello. Puck's cleared out after that. Foligno has a net drive. That's blocked. Power play's killed off, but it looked good. So it had its opportunities. Shots are 5-1 Minnesota at 5 minutes. Zuccarello has a near miss. The Preds push. Jankowski has a slot shot. That's held. Boldy can't bury one. Puck's cleared out. Evangelista's denied on a breakaway. Lettieri fires one wide on a rush after that. Yossi has his stick die during a press for Nashville. It looked dangerous, so it helped him. Boldy has a net feed that's picked off, and then Beauvillier, not paying as much attention as he should to who's in the middle of the ice, decides to put it right on the stick of Hartman. So Hartman's like, thanks, and on a breakaway, he scores at 12:28 to give Minnesota the lead back. Boldy then has a rush chance that's held as Minnesota really needs the points, and you could really see it in this one today. Pressed by Nashville with 5 minutes left. Brodin has a screenshot that saved with 2:47 left. Nashville goes to the power play, and they score on it. And this was a power play Minnesota was not happy about. The fans weren't happy about. They felt it was kind of a ticky-tack call. O'Reilly with this one from Yossi and Forsberg at 17:58. And this was as Saros was headed off to make it 6-on-4. He doesn't get to the bench. It's a 5-on-4 goal. Fans then call one on the next play. The referee does not. This is where the fans are angry and the ref is informed of some things. That's just kind of how that works. The Wild press. Brodin loses the handle on one late. We're going to overtime, and it was an overtime where both teams played the same game. It is about possession. You get the puck and you back it off. You get in the zone, but if you don't like what you see, you back off because you want to keep the puck. So the Preds controlled early. The Wild take over. They set up. They turn it over. Forsberg would hit a post. The Wild then rush down the ice and they go offside. Preds set up. They cycle. Yossi's denied. The Wild take over. And then genius. Absolute genius by John Hines against his former team. He pulls the goalie. Now, this is risky. This is something we have not seen in the NHL in a very, very long time. If you pull the goaltender in overtime, so if Nashville scores here, Minnesota does not get that point for the overtime loss. If you pull the goalie in overtime and the other team scores, you have lost that extra point as well. And during the 4-on-3, what was good about this was now you've got 3 Preds stuck out in the ice who aren't necessarily penalty killers, and they're not in a situation where they were expecting to be dealing with a 4-on-3. So on a one-timer and 4 forwards on the ice, like this was absolutely the ballsiest move I've seen a coach make this year, I think. But Boldy gets the goal from Zuccarello and Kaprizov at 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Minnesota wins this one in overtime 4-3. They go to 31-27-7. For Nashville, the point streak continues. It's now at 12. They're 37-25-4. But Minnesota had to get 2 points. They have to start winning the games. They have to be this aggressive because the odds of them making the playoffs are very slim. They have to get 2 points every game. Shots on net are 11 apiece in the first, 10-7 Nashville in the second, 14-8 Minnesota in the third. Both teams had one shot in the overtime. Minnesota with the one that matters. Final shots are 33-30 by Minnesota. Power plays, both teams 1 for 2. The hits 35-26 for Minnesota. Saros saved 29 out of 33 and Fleury saved 27 out of 30. This was a very highly entertaining game. These teams really don't like one another, and if somehow Minnesota claws its way closer to a playoff spot and threatens for a playoff spot, we'll be looking back at this game and saying that's where it turned. So again, it's not something I've had to talk about on the channel. I don't feel like pulling a goaltender in overtime happens at all in the National Hockey League, unless you're dealing with a delayed penalty, and then yeah, you pull the goalie because you got the delayed call. But this was such a brilliant move. We'll see if this spurs another rush for the Minnesota Wild. They had lost 3 in a row coming into this, but who knows? Maybe, right? So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, if you're a Minnesota fan, does this make you a little bit more excited, or do you still think, they're going to fall short? If you're a Nashville fan, how do you feel about the game? And hey, let me know your thoughts just in general if you're not a fan of either team. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you haven't done so already. And again, I thought this was a lot of fun. The other 3 games are going to have a hard time living up to this one. This was the best game I've watched today. So thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.